I'm Janine Kakmar, and you're watching PHTV4 Bookshelf. And we're here today with our special guest, Matt Makowski. Matt's the head of public services at the Palos Heights Library. Matt, thanks for taking time out of your day to be with us today.
Thanks for having me back.
Yep. We are going to be talking about new books coming out in June. And let me tell you, we've got some great authors coming up. We've got big names.
Yes.
Ellen Hilderbrand, people are probably waiting in line for her already. Ruth Ware, Isabel Allende. We'll get into some of those in a few minutes. But we're going to get started with the first book on my list is Maybe You Should Talk to Someone by Lori Gottlieb. This is a nonfiction book written by a best-selling author. She's a psychotherapist, national advice columnist, and she wrote this hilarious, thought-provoking book that takes us behind the scenes of a therapist's world, where her patients are looking for answers, but also so is she. The book starts off when the author, she writes about herself, is neck deep in a personal crisis, and she has to go see her own therapist. So while she's on her journey through her crisis, we begin to learn a lot about ourselves as the reader, and she illuminates the mysteries in our lives and our power to transform them. And I was telling you before we got started, she has a very interesting background in her writing and her life. She started off in Hollywood as a writer for like ER and Friends. I mean, she was back in the day. And in her research, well, for ER, she had to follow a real doctor around in a hospital. And so she decided, you know, I think I want to become a doctor. So she left her Hollywood career behind and went to school as a MD, and then she eventually goes into therapy, becoming a therapist. But it is a book that will make you laugh out loud, but also like, oh my gosh, very touching moments as well. Great book. Maybe You Should Talk to Someone by Lori Gottlieb. Put that on your list. It was not something I would have typically read, but I am very glad that I did.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So Matt, we've got a big hitter right off the bat. Ellen Hilderbrand. I know she's hugely popular. What's her new book about?
Massive. So she is coming out with The 5-Star Weekend, which coming out in June, perfect for summer, as are most of her books. So from the #1 New York Times bestselling author of The Hotel Nantucket, the story for this one goes, after tragedy strikes, Hollis Shaw gathers 4 friends from different stages of her life to spend an unforgettable weekend on Nantucket. It's a surprising and captivating story about friendship, love, and self-discovery. A weekend like no other.
Yeah, I remember in the library days, people love her. They loved. She would be like a great summer read.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely the queen of beach reads.
Yeah, even just by the cover, I'm sure.
Yes.
Oh, great. We have another huge author, Ruth Ware. I know people just can't wait for her next books to come out. When she started with In a Dark, Dark World years ago, that was her first one. That was such a captivating first write for her. She's now being called like the next Agatha Christie, you know, which is a big mantle to carry. But her new one, she returns with an adrenaline-fueled thriller that combines like the movies Mr. and Mrs. Smith with The Fugitive, and it's about a woman in a race against time to clear her name and find her husband's murder. She and her husband worked in a company that would break into buildings and hack security systems. And one of their jobs went terribly wrong. So she has to find out who killed her husband. She's also on the #1 suspect on the police list, too. So she is in a race against time for sure. And in true to nature, Ruth Ware, I'm sure this is a thriller that'll keep you turning the pages. So I know all her fans are happy she's got a new one out.
Definitely has a huge following.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. So next up we have an international mystery and historical thriller rolled into one, The Ninth Man by Steve Berry. He is, of course, the best-selling author of the Cotton Malone series, and this is a thrilling, action-packed historical adventure that sends Luke Daniels on an international manhunt for the truth about the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. So it goes from Belgium to Luxembourg to the bayous of Louisiana and the Wyoming wilderness, finally ends up in the Bahamas, where Luke Daniels confronts a series of shocking truths which not only rewrite history, but will forever change his own life as he comes face to face with the Ninth Man.
Ooh, appropriately titled, huh?
Yes.
Very good. And Steve Berry's great with the action and suspense. So
Yeah.
for those of you who like that, check this one out. My next one is from one of my favorite authors, Isabel Allende. If you've never read a book by her, put her on your list. It's about time. Her new one is called The Wind Knows My Name, and it's a powerful, moving novel that weaves together the past and the present, tracing the ripple effects of war and immigration on one child in Europe in 1938 and another in the United States in 2019. This is what she is expert at. She can take a personal story and set it against the backdrop of shattering events, and she just tells such compelling stories. And in this one, her new one, tells the stories of these two unforgettable characters, both that are in search of family and home, and it's a testament that the sacrifices parents make, but also a love letter to the children who endure the most unfathomable dangers and yet never stop dreaming. So Isabel Allende is one of my favorites, and check her out. And now we've got Marie Benedict, which you had her at the library back and did a virtual presentation.
That's right. That's right. So she's back with another historical fiction called The First Ladies. This is about the extraordinary partnership between First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt and civil rights activist Mary McLeod Bethune, an unlikely friendship that changed the world. So this is the story of two different yet equally formidable, passionate and committed women, and the way in which their singular friendship helped the foundation for the modern civil rights movement to form.
Interesting. She does a lot. That's her thing, Marie Benedict.
Yeah.
She does historical fiction, a lot with featuring women, strong women characters. So, yeah. Our next one is Gothic fiction by Riley Sager, which is a name that's been coming up a lot lately.
Very popular these days.
I thought he was actually a woman at first, but Riley's a man. Sorry, I'm going to admit that publicly. His new one is a Gothic fiction, the Gothic Chiller, about a caregiver who was assigned to work for a woman who's accused of Lizzie Borden-like massacre decades earlier. So as this caretaker is helping this older woman write about the events leading to this massacre, it becomes clear that there's more to this tale than people know. And as the caretaker continues to care for this woman, it's clear that maybe there is something here that she's going to have to deal with. So that the seemingly harmless woman in her care could be far more dangerous than she thought. So it's a great premise.
Oh, yeah.
And he has really been becoming very popular with his books, Riley Sager. So check that name out.
Yeah. You know, the horror/thriller genre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've got our last one here by Andrea Bartz. Who's this?
Yeah, Andrea Bartz. She has come to us with a novel called The Spare Room, which Lucy Foley describes as sexy, atmospheric, and deliciously creepy.
Oh.
So this is about a character who is staying with a friend and her husband and finds it to be sexier and deadlier than anyone could have imagined.
What a combo.
Yes. A provocative domestic suspense novel from Andrea Bartz, who was a Reese's Book Club pick with her novel We Were Never Here.
Okay.
So it's packed with her signature tension, twists, and toxic relationships. The Spare Room marks an edgy, boundary-pushing new direction from what the Los Angeles Times describes as the master of the feminist thriller.
Interesting.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll have to check that one out. She got a big push with being a Reese book last time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll see if this one holds up. And then, of course, on the next slide, you'll see the other books we have coming out for June by New York Times bestselling authors, of course, Danielle Steele, Stuart Woods, Iris Johansson, and James Patterson. So there you have it, some of the big hitters coming out for the month of June. Check those out. I know, Matt, they can be putting these on hold at the library.
Oh, yeah.
You've got physical books, you have digital books, all that kind of good stuff.
That's right. Any way you want it.
Great. Well, thanks. And Matt, thanks for being with us here today. Thank you for watching Bookshelf. I'm Janine Kakmar. Thanks for watching and good reading.